Uh, it's fascinating, and what we've seen on a lot of these interviews is a real, I don't want to say a division, but it is certainly a different kind of mindset of people who treat, magic as a real business, and
Right.
people who, I'm not gonna say they don't treat it, because obviously, everybody I think we've interviewed makes their living doing magic, but I think it's art first, and
Right.
I really don't think that. I certainly would not want to pass judgment on either way, but I think that it's interesting to see where I guess ultimately, well, my point is you can't be both. You have to
You
you have to
can't.
be one. I mean,
You
you can like one or the other. It's like the whole Beatles and Elvis thing. Either you ultimately come down to the end of the day and say, listen, I love doing this for a living. I want to do
right.
this, more. I want to prosper, financially from all the practice and
Right.
hard work and mechanical, skill that I've gotten from this, beautiful art. Or it's, I want to move the art itself forward, and I will sacrifice myself, in let's say not doing the corporate gig the way you would otherwise, or
Right.
not compromising where they want you to, because this is the art and it is
Right.
sacred.
I think that's a pretty clear vision of a delineation there. There's a I remember I asked Eugene Berger, who's a wonderful magician and theorist, years ago. I said, Eugene, how do you know when you were a professional magician? And he said, when it's Thursday night and you'd rather be at home watching The Simpsons than going to do your close-up gig. And there's some truth in that. I At the moment when he told me that, I said, "No, I'll never feel that way. I love magic. Magic is my life. It's all I do." And then one day when I was working at the Venetian, and I'd been working at the Venetian during the Christmas season, they used me there 7 days a week, 40 hours a week. I'm there for Carnivale and in the suites and all these things. And they and I'd been doing it now for 3 weeks, and I thought to myself, I'd rather stay at home than go do magic today.
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized, oh, I'm a professional. And
That's it.
recently, I heard a song by Harry Chapin that was I don't remember the title of it, but it was Mr. Tanner was a cleaner. He sang while hanging clothes. And it talked about in this song, it said, music was his life, but not his livelihood. It made him feel so happy, oh, it made him feel so good. He sang from his heart, he sang from his soul. He did not know how well he sang, it just made him whole.
Yeah.
And this idea of the amateur. The word amateur comes from amore, someone who loves. And the dream is that we can always be an amateur, that even as a professional, we can say I'm an amateur, I'm someone who loves it, and that I can sing from my heart and sing from my soul, and that it makes me whole to do this.
Yeah.
But there does certainly come a transition when we say, this is all I do for a living. I'm not getting an income anymore. I used to teach at the university. I'm not getting an income anymore from the university. I'm not receiving an income anymore as an actor or as a singer or any other profession. And so I have to make choices that are good for my home and
For the
my
rent.
food.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. I'll tell you what. Our next question was, how do you decide to go pro? But I think we really we really kind of covered that with the help of Mr. Eugene Berger. But we'll touch on it just one more time. Was there any? Well, I guess you just mentioned the going to the Venetian and realizing that this was it.
Well, that's a moment I realized I was a professional. But when did I decide to go professional is a different
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, let's get into there. When
I
and this the way we always define this is when do you decide that this is going to be it? Like the rent moment that you're judging what your booking price is versus what groceries cost.
That's right. It's a good question. Um, I was planning on being a university professor.
What'd you
That was my
teach?
goal. And I became
Sorry,
a cultural
Paul. What
anthropologist.
what did you want to teach? Sorry.
Oh, cultural anthropology.
Okay.
And I did. And I taught cultural anthropology at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, at Weber State University, at Westminster College. I lectured at Westminster. And that I was in at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I was in the College of Urban Affairs and taught intercultural communication and public speaking and magic shamanism and religion. And I moved down here to Las Vegas, and that was the goal. I was going to be a professor, and that was going to be my life. And then I was going to the Magic Club meetings every Wednesday night, and I was going to the magic conventions that come to Las Vegas, and I'd loved magic since I was 8 years old. I'd always wanted to be a magician. And so now I'm working as a professor, and I get in a big fight with the chair of the department. And we have this huge battle, he and I. And I decide at age 23, that's how old I was, I said, this is nonsense. I can do anything. If ever I'm going to make it as a professional entertainer, now's the time. So I left college and I went 6 months where I basically slept on a buddy's couch, lost my apartment, uh, got kidney stones, broke up with my girlfriend. This is
Wow.
of 5 years. This was sort of a death and resurrection of Paul, and that's the story of the shaman throughout time. This is the moment when I died and was resurrected into a new universe to try and figure out what I was. For 2 months, I became a salesman for a company called Aldec, a telemarketing company that sold a design software for chips. And
Huh.
that's helped me in the technical world, working in trade shows for the tech world, the knowledge I learned there. And I decided, no, I can't do this. If ever I'm going to be an entertainer, it's got to be now. I've got to make the leap. So I hadn't decided I was going to be a magician entertainer. I, at that point, was still musical theater or actor or singer or magician or mentalist. And I went and I stage managed a production of Man of La Mancha, and the girl that played Dulcinea in it was the casting director for the singers at the Venetian. I went into the Venetian Hotel to audition as a singer, but I brought all my magic stuff with me. And at the end of the singing audition, I said, I can also do magic. And they said, well, let's see it. And I did magic for them. They hired me on the spot for the Christmas season.
Hmm.
Then every day, and they hired me as a singer for the rest of the year. So I came in as a singer for that first year. And every day I came as a singer. I did magic for them to try and convince them to let me be a magician. And after about 6 months of that, they hired me to start performing in the suites upstairs for the high rollers. And I've worked as a magician at the Venetian and singer and such for about, and the magic is increased and the singing's decreased. As of 6 months ago, I was singing 1 day a week and doing magic the rest of the time.
Gotcha.
Um, and then as of October, I'm doing nothing but magic. I'm doing nothing but mentalism at this point. And so this last October, I made the transition. No more singing, and very little magic anymore. Just mentalism. And so that's the core. And so where a lot of these guys you've interviewed have said 18 is when they decided. This last October, my birthday's Halloween, and this last October I turned 30, and this was the year.
It's funny you mentioned that. And number one, I'm very, very glad that you've watched our other interviews because it makes me feel good
Absolutely.
as a person. But secondly, I think it's fascinating. I'm almost more fascinated by your story than the 18-year-old story
Right.
because the idea that I think a lot of people and a lot of people watching can identify with the fact that big decisions aren't often made in one, moment of clarity. That there are
Right.
several moments of clarity that, it's like, all right, well, like you decided, screw school, I'm out. And then it
Right.
was, I'm going to do entertainment. But, you don't want to, it would have been one thing if you would have identified your niche immediately and
Right.
dove right into it. And, maybe it would have been better. Maybe it would have been worse. You never know. But,
Don't know.
it's fascinating.